Welcome back to your soon-to-be favorite podcast. I'm Angelica.
And I'm Kelsey.
And this is
Here We Grow.
I'm still a tad wad.
A tad wad?
I'm still a tad bit sick. And if you can't hear my voice, I'm so sorry about that.
You can't hear anything in her voice.
It sounds raspy.
I
think it sounds raspy still.
Sounds like your normal voice.
What? And then sometimes when I sing, it like gets caught up.
I didn't notice that.
Speaking about singing, you bitches, I have a bone to pick with y'all. Okay? Because I'm going through a fucking breakup. I mean, the breakup's already been done, whatever. But when I was going through a breakup, you know, you have people send you songs or whatever, and that's nice. That's cute. Whatever. Thank you so much. However, I came across the song Silver Springs by Fleetwood Mac. Oh, I know it's Stevie Nicks, but like it's the band.
Yeah.
And I came across this video on TikTok, and this girl was talking about it. And she was like, "I'll never forget like what power move it was when Stevie Nicks like sang this song to her ex-boyfriend who cheated on her. It's about him and how she sung it to him for like the past 30, 50 years or whatever
it's been out.
Yeah, however long it's been out, and she's like staring at him, and I see this video, she's like staring at him, and she's like, and he's just taking it like a man, like, yeah I know I fucked up. Can we just get through this set list, please? And it has been stuck in my head ever since.
It's a whole vibe.
I'm gonna sing you guys a little bit.
Do it.
Well, now I'm nervous.
Well, I've already recorded some of it.
Okay.
It's not like you haven't sang on the pod before, and this is not live, so.
Yeah, okay. Well, no, now I feel weird. I'm not gonna do it.
Okay. Well, I can just
Oh, yeah. You'll never get away from the sound of the woman that loves you. Fuck you. I hope you listen to my fucking podcast every fucking Tuesday, and I hope that you have it on repeat and you just piss your pants every time you hear my voice. I'm over this shit, man.
I'm gonna make a clip of that because of the look on your face.
Guys, I'm so tired. I can't even put my contacts on. What's fucked up? I got my hair cut, right? It's really cute. You know, thank you. And like last week, I had my hair done. You know, it was straight. Jess had just cut it. I had my makeup on. If y'all saw that reel and you liked it, thank you. If you didn't, go back and like it. And Kelsey didn't want to record because she didn't want to do her makeup. No, because you couldn't. Or didn't.
I couldn't get my makeup because my makeup was in my car, which my dad had at his house because he was working on it.
Excuses.
Sorry.
So then this week, Kelsey has her makeup and her hair done, and I'm just here. So
we are at her house, and she had plenty of time to put makeup on if she wanted to.
I feel like it's such a waste sometimes.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'm okay with doing it, like, you know, whatever, do it. But it's just late.
Because they're just going to take it right back off.
Yeah. I think if it was like earlier in the day, and like, you know, those days where you don't have anything going on, but you want to do your makeup, like that's fine. But
for
like
fun.
Right now, I would be doing my makeup and then taking it off before I go to bed, and who knows if I'll take it off.
And you'll wear makeup again tomorrow because tomorrow there's a party.
Exactly. Yeah. Tomorrow there's a party.
Yeah, there's tomorrow.
Yeah, it's my sister's birthday. It's my sister's birthday, and while we're at it, we're just gonna celebrate Anthony and Sal too. So shout out. And did you see how I looked at my lip?
Yes. You did that earlier too, and I said I was gonna clip your face.
So we're just gonna have a good time.
Yeah, then Sunday's Easter.
Oh yeah, happy Easter.
Happy Easter. It's already passed for you guys.
Yeah, so I hope you guys had a good one.
Yeah.
And yeah. So Kelsey and I are starting this thing where she's gonna start to teach me how to cook.
Oh yeah.
And so
I think did we mention it last time?
I think we did.
Oh, yeah.
I think we did.
I think so too.
So today we made chicken chili, and it was bomb. It was so good.
And actually something I didn't know about chicken chili until recently is that there's 2 different ways to make it. There's like a tomato-based chicken chili, like how you would make regular chili. And then there's the kind we made, which is like a cream cheese base. Oh, so good.
So good. And we have the giggles tonight, so.
Yes. It's really late, too. It's like 10:34. You checked your wrist and there's nothing on it.
What time is it? 10:34.
I said that.
What time is it? We watched the Pacers game, just 2 little girlies sitting on the couch eating chicken
we sat
chili.
down and watched it. We're like,
watching
look
the
at
Pacers.
us. 2 girlies watching the Pacers game by themselves.
We won against the LA Lakers.
Yeah, we killed them.
Shout out Pacers team if y'all listen. Huge fans.
Huge. Oh my god.
Oh no, I think I got sweat in my eye.
So what?
Or oil, sorry, not sweat. Oil.
I'm like, you've been sweating? We've been sitting here.
Okay. Also, we were at Aldi earlier today. And this cute guy walked past. And I was like, Kelsey, he's like really cute. And she was like, oh, I didn't even notice. I was like, yeah, I used to be like you. Now I'm like a Sanderson sister. On the prowl, man. I'm kidding. I need to heal.
That was funny.
So,
and then
yeah.
you ran into the thing at all.
They have like these like cylinder block shit metal, god damn it, things under the pallets.
It's like, yeah, they go under the pallets to put the price tag on it.
And I didn't even see it. I ran into it so hard.
I feel like you ran into it so hard you could have flipped over.
I really could have flipped over. I'm pretty sure I lifted off the ground. And I was so confused. I'm not gonna lie. At first I thought someone else hit me. So like not only was I confused, I was pissed because I was like, what the fuck? No, my other eye as well. We're gonna go down. So yeah, that's been our afternoon. And I made Easter baskets for the babies.
I want to go get some toilet paper. You keep going.
Okay. But yeah, I made some little Easter baskets for my niece and nephew. They're so cute. Probably should have gotten bigger baskets. So I didn't really realize how many things I wanted to pack into them until the very end. But it's cute. It's cute. I mean, I have like bunny ears in there, and like you asked, I have bunny ears there.
Oh my god.
I have like a little plushie toy. I got some candy, some chocolate. Hey guys,
Guess what?
did you know?
We have merch.
Merch. We have shirts, crew necks, sweatshirts, sweaters, mugs,
Mm-hmm.
hats,
Baseball caps, yeah.
baseball caps. Buy one for your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your uncle, your aunt, your cousin, your grandma, your grandpa, your dog.
Everyone.
Everyone. Everybody.
Makes a good gift.
Makes a great gift.
Yes, and we have new merch that say good things all happen exactly when they're supposed to, our little quote. So
Yeah.
go check that out. And also, they're unisexual.
Unisexual. We know you like a little uni. little sexual uni moment.
Hop on there and get you some merch. And when someone asks you what you're wearing, you tell them about our podcast.
You even share an episode with them.
Yes, of course. Whatever your favorite episode is. You can get that at bonfire.com/store/HWG-merch.
What's the quote of the week?
Oh, yes. I'm pulling it up now. Hold on.
Oh, look at that. You did your eyeliner and you already cried it off.
Oh, damn. Try to pull it up.
You'll never get away from the sound of the woman that loves you.
To the podcasts. I sure did.
Okay.
I'm just going to let you listen to the video.
focus. There is a thing called neuronostalgia, where researchers are actually finding that the music we listen to as teenagers bind to our brains differently than anything we're ever going to hear as adults. So literally one of the best coping skills and things that I still do myself is listen to the music that you love to listen to, like bangers as a teenager. If that's like punk rock, Pitbull, like whatever, listen to that, because it actually helps us. It helps us get out of our heads and it helps us connect to ourselves. It makes us feel alive again. So that is 100% approved. Do it all the time. I'll do it with you.
Amen.
Okay, so yeah, I saw that video earlier today and it kind of blew my mind because I'm like, I know the feeling of listening to that music, but you can never put like words to it. And when she said you're connecting to that self, that part of yourself, I'm like, yes, that is what it feels like. It feels like you're yourself.
Yeah.
So crazy. I've been into a lot of metal lately. And that feels like myself.
Yeah, like when I listen to like Fall Out Boy or Paramore or Flyleaf or Mayday Parade.
Yeah.
Or like Linkin Park.
Oh,
it
Linkin
takes
Park.
me back to like just being a teenager and like not a care in the fucking world. Like literally my brain was the size of a peanut because I had no like worries. Like nothing, you know.
Empty up there.
I mean, you went to school and that was it.
Yeah.
That's it. And you hung out with your friends.
Didn't know anything about the real world, really.
God damn, what I would do to go back. Speaking about going back to your past self.
Yeah. I was thinking segue too.
Something that I've learned is that, so like people in relationships who don't have necessarily like secure attachments, or you're a bit anxious or you're a bit overwhelmed or you think you're a little bit toxic, when you start to have these unhealthy behaviors, you need to ask yourself, okay, what part inside of me, what child inside of me, like needs this? Like, why do I need this? What is drawn to this? What? Because you need to reparent yourself is what I learned. So like if you're feeling anxious or not assured or you need constant attention all the time, why do you need that? What part in your childhood was that a necessity or maybe something that wasn't given to you that you needed, that you crave? And then learn to self-soothe.
Something that really stuck with me on the podcast that we've been listening to recently.
Let's shout it out.
Do the Work podcast.
With
I don't know her name.
She has a really cool last name. Do the Word podcast with Sabrina Zohar. Sabrina Zohar.
Yeah.
Sabrina Zohar. Jesus Christ. Yes. So she has this podcast. It's called Do the Work podcast.
Yeah.
And
it's like basically all about like the things you need to do to heal to be in a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
And to not continue with unhealthy relationships.
Yeah.
On your own accountability and on your own healing to prevent you from being with other people who can't take accountability, like for their own shit. And one thing that stuck with me kind of related to what you were talking about was what were we talking about?
Reparenting yourself. Self-soothe?
Yes. Not just like, okay, like you were talking about like, why do you crave this attention? It's not just about craving attention. It's about believing that you have to earn love.
Yes. Conditional love. Why do you have that? What in your childhood made you believe that that's what you needed to do this in order to receive love or receive care, receive attention or whatever? Whatever the case may be, it's something from your childhood or something that happened to you that caused you to be this way. And now it's showing up in unhealthy behaviors. And you need to self-regulate. First of all, be aware that you do that. Understand why you do that.
Like, once you get past the awareness, it's like, okay.
Yes.
This is doable.
Like, okay, how do I manage this? How do I bring it back? Let's, touch some grass. What's really going on here?
Yeah.
And I just want to say that for her podcast, one of the things that I love about it is that she gives you tough love. Like, she does not sugarcoat anything.
No.
She tells you how it is. She talks really fast and like not aggressive, but like
she's telling you how it is.
She like, calls you out on your shit. Like, you do this because of this, and you do that because of this. And like, no, you don't need to do that. You need to do this. And I'm like, God damn it, but I don't want to.
But she's right.
She's right, 1,000%. Like, I highly encourage you to listen to this podcast for anybody. If you're single, in a relationship, just anybody.
I learned stuff from it, and I'm in a happy marriage.
Yeah.
What? the way I said marriage. I can't even repeat it.
And a happy marriage.
I'm gonna happy marriage.
That sounded convincing. And a happy marriage.
Happy marriage. I was just trying to talk too fast, I think.
And a happy marriage.
So if you haven't figured out by now what the fuck we're talking about on this episode, because it's been a roller coaster already, we are... I was scared I hadn't started recording, but I have. Can you imagine if we lost all that?
Oh, that would have been so bad. I can't be funny again.
I can't be funny again. I'm too tired.
It's too much
We've
work.
already segued into the seriousness. We're going to be talking about relationships, but kind of like diving deeper into how it's connected to your childhood and how...
Sorry about that. Kelsey went underwater. But she's good now. Sound like a cat was trying to come out of your mouth. She don't need no auto-tune.
Okay, we can't do this again. We can't. I've already worn off most of my makeup. Okay.
You good? Okay. Waiting on you.
I just needed to swallow.
Okay.
I just didn't.
You have the brilliant idea.
Oh, okay.
My back hurts.
This episode, we're gonna dive deeper into
Attachment
styles, how relationships connect to your childhood, and why it's so important to understand that, because everything from your childhood causes you either harm or guides you with your mental health, like either positive or good. It's all connected to your mental health. Positive or negative. It's all connected to your mental health, and your mental health can sometimes be the driver in your relationship.
Yeah.
And it can't be the driver in your relationship. You have to be the driver. And if you're the driver in your relationship, or if your mental health is the driver, I mean, you're set up for failure, basically. Like,
you're in your head too much.
It's not really you, and it's not really that person.
And you're also not healing from what you should be healing.
Right.
You're kind of like using like a crutch.
Yeah.
And just, coasting along.
Right. Yeah, so where should we start?
Okay. Well, hang on a minute.
I have a couple screenshots we could start with.
Dude, why aren't my messages opening up? Okay, so where mental health crosses relationship, attachment, mental health, toxic relationships. Okay. Well, how do you want to start this?
Well, okay, so I have this statistic really quick.
Okay.
Being happily married or in a stable relationship impacts positively on mental health. Research has found that high marital quality is associated with lower stress and depression. However, single people have better mental health outcomes than unhappily married people. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. Single people have better mental health outcomes than unhappily married people.
So it's better to be alone
than to be in an unhappy marriage. Your mental health will be better off. And I mean, I'm sure we'll get into that. Like, it's pretty black and white.
Yeah,
like,
there's a saying in Spanish called mejor solas. Oh, fuck. Mejor sola. Hang on. I had it in my head before you said it, and now I can't get it out. It's like stuck in my throat.
Go like I did. Maybe it'll come out.
Mejor sola que mala acompañada.
And what does that mean?
It's better to be alone than to be surrounded by bad company.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was very interesting.
One thing that I've always said this, and I truly believe this, and if you don't agree, fight me. But like, okay, think about it this way, right? Life is already going to like grab you by the thong and like drag you on gravel roads, right? Like it's already going to kick you when you're down. It's already, I mean, your health can decline. You can lose a job. You can lose a child. You may not be able to, conceive or have the family that you want, or whatever the case may be. Life is going to smack you straight in the face one way or the other. Money problems, car problems, everything. You have all these other extra outside stressors. Your partner should not be one of those.
Right. Yeah.
They need to be, if you're going to be with someone, if you're going to be in a relationship, this is a partnership, okay? Not you above me or me above you, or, you do everything I say or vice versa. No, we need to come together and discuss and trust each other, lean on each other to then fight those battles. And something that you've told me that has always stuck with me is it's me and you versus the problem, not me versus you.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And I mean, there will be times where it's hard to stay on that mindset. It's not always going to be perfect.
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
But to that point, a partnership, like it has to be a partnership. There's actually, I just remembered this. I'm so glad you said that. On Ariana Grande's new album, she has a song with her Nona in it.
Oh, yes.
And the thing that her Nona says, I want to quote it.
Yes. No, you should play it.
Okay. Well, I don't know. We might get copyrighted for it.
Oh.
I'm just going to read it.
Yeah, just read it.
Okay.
It's after that one. Never go to bed.
Yes. Okay. So she says, as I told her, never go to bed without kissing goodnight. That's the worst thing you can do. Don't ever, ever do that. Okay. Everybody's heard that, right? And then she says, and if you can't, and if you don't feel comfortable doing it, you're in the wrong place. Get out. That's so strong. That's so strong, because you always hear the quote that says, never go to bed mad, always kiss goodnight, even if you're in a fight or whatever. And that's true. You should be able to do that. But for the people out there who, if you get into a fight with your significant other and you can't still go and kiss them goodnight, that's a problem. That means that there is a level of disrespect, or there is fear in your relationship, like actual physical fear, or even emotional fear, or like them not feeling like a safe enough space. Like if you and your partner get into a huge argument, doesn't matter about what it's about, and then you can't kiss them goodnight even if you're mad at them, like that, you should be able to do that. Do you agree?
Oh yeah. Well, there's something that you've told me too, like you need to learn how to argue, because I think that's where a lot of couples mess up, because you do disrespect each other in an argument,
and then it builds up over time.
Yeah, or
causes resentment.
Exactly, resentment. You start to name call. You start bringing up other stuff in the argument that had nothing to do with that. Like, oh, well, you left dirty dishes last night, and I had to do, or whatever the case may be. Yeah. Like, once you start to cross those lines and blur those, It
all boils down to respect.
Exactly. Absolutely.
When you start calling names, when you start disrespecting your person and there's no respect left, then what is left? There has to be respect. The relationship, if it doesn't have respect, it 100% will fail. There's like no other possible outcome.
Yeah.
I mean, if you then gain respect for each other and decide to then fight healthily and control yourselves and be better, sure. But if the relationship doesn't have respect, then what does it have?
Right.
It can't have anything else.
And something that Sabrina talked about in her podcast was, use I statements. Not, you did this, so now I'm doing this. It's like, hey, I felt this way because of this happened. Like try to take a little bit of accountability, and because they may not, 9 times out of 10, maybe not 9 times out of 10, but you know what I mean? Like some arguments, they're the tone of voice, or you think they meant it this way. So it's even open a conversation like, hey, earlier when you said this, it made me feel this way. Is that how you meant it?
Right.
And I know, trust me, I know it's easier said than done. But like once you start to have that comfortability with your partner, it should be easy
to communicate. Yeah. And that kind of leads us to when you're in an argument and your partner says something to you and you heard it some other way, that's your mental health. Your mental health is masking what was really said. your past relationships, your past traumas, your childhood is masking what was really said, and then causes you to react in another way, and may cause you to break up, or may cause you to have more fights that then cause you to break up. That's how connected this is. You know, if we're going to use your attachment style as an example for a moment, if Angelica learned as a child that love is earned, and then she grew up, her first boyfriend is someone who believes that love is earned as well, and forces her to have to try to earn it, and then they get into an argument one day. She has an anxious attachment style at this point, and he says something, but she takes it as, oh, well, then you must not want me, or I'm not good enough. Then that continues the cycle from her childhood. That's how connected this is. Like, it's literally connected. Like, nobody can tell me otherwise. Nobody. And everything we've talked about that went wrong in your past relationships, we've been able to then draw back to a childhood memory, or to a childhood, like the way that your household was, or the way that your parents were, or the way that your siblings were. Everything we've been able to draw back and be like, that's what it is. Like, we had one the other day. You want to talk about that one?
No, which one?
the lecturing.
Oh, this is yesterday.
No, it was yesterday, yeah.
So I learned from a very young age how to I almost like Greystone. Gray wall. No.
Gray rock.
Gray.
She can't get it right. It's gray rock.
How to gray rock. And to gray walk, or, you know, the...
Is it gray walk?
I said gray rock. I said gray rock. It did sound like gray walk, but no. Okay. Basically, it's becoming so uninterested, so unattached from the conversation that's happening at hand. You just become so uninterested. You don't show any emotions. You don't say anything back. And someone's just talking your ear off, and they're just going and going and going and going. You're just so over it, or yelling, and you're detaching yourself. And I've learned that from a very young age, because my mom would do that. My mom would she still does that. Like,
yeah, she still does it.
Even just a couple of months ago, she lectured me for 2 hours, and I literally, kid you not, I walked around in circles in her kitchen for 2 hours. I didn't say anything. I didn't look at her. Like, when I was younger, I could look her straight in the eyes and not hear a thing she's saying. Like, I'd just be so distant, and she would get so angry with me. But
it's the same thing over and over again. She never changes what she's saying.
And I've told her before, like, I got your point with your first two, like, I'm not a fucking idiot. Like, I understand your first 2 points, but then you keep going. It's like, what else am I supposed to do? So I just take it. I've learned as a child to just take it, to just sit there and just wait for the moment to be over. Like, you just have to be patient and just let it pass, and just the endings, it's got to be near, right? Like, it's been like it feels like 20 minutes. It's gotta, you know.
I wonder if she did that because she's expecting you to fight back, and she feels like if you don't fight back, then you're not getting it. Like, that you're just ignoring her.
Interesting. I guess.
I never thought of it that way until I was listening to you talk about it.
But I was a pretty good child, so, like, you had to tell me once, and then I was, you know, I got it. Like, I'm not a dumb...
Like, all of your siblings were the problem children. You didn't want to do that.
I got it. But I think that's... Okay, another thing that I've always thought is that because my siblings were so hard to talk to, my mom would start to spill some of her frustration onto me about them. Yeah. And so I would have to listen to her rants and her frustration and her upset about them. And I think that's also the reason why I gray rocked so hard, because I just had to get through it. Like, what else am I supposed to say? Yep. So anyway, so that being in my childhood, I've then taken that onto my relationship, where I had a partner. It's so funny because we're gonna know who it is. Yeah. Who would just go on and on and on and on, or wear me down to get me to like to break. Yeah, to break.
To concede. Yeah.
To concede, exactly. Yeah. And so I just I pushed that into my own relationship very early on, and I just anything to get you to stop. Like, anything to get you to stop lecturing me, to stop going about this topic. Like, okay, whatever. Like, and it's not responding in the moment. It's after it's done. It's like, okay, well, nothing's going to get, you know, fixed on my end. Right. If I had an issue to bring up to their attention, and they started going off on this tangent, Okay.
Yeah. Well, and what like we were saying was your options are argue back and get in this huge blowout, all out fight where in the end you're going to end up apologizing, even though you may not have been in the wrong in the situation, or gray rock until it's over to keep the peace.
Right.
And that led us to keeping the peace.
And you would think that maybe I would, so like for me, when I'm arguing with someone, or just even talking, really, if I feel like you're not receptive to me, I would just simply stop talking and turn around. I've done that at my job before. Yeah. Like, this is like a small, minute example, but like someone that comes up to me and they start to ask me a question, and then when I start to answer their question and they interrupt me, I just stop talking and go back to work. Like, why the fuck would you ask me a question and then interrupt me and not let me talk?
Yeah.
So because I've had so much trauma, so like in the beginning of me and my past partner's relationship, I would gray rock and I would just let them go on and on and on. And then it got to a point where I would just start doing laundry, or I would just do dishes, or I would go on to do other things, and they would just keep talking my ear off. And then it got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm so fucking over this.
Yeah.
Stop. Like, just stop talking to me.
Just leave me alone at this point.
Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
And now it's gotten to the point where I won't even tolerate. I would just, okay. I won't even say okay. I would just, conversation's over, walk away.
Yeah.
But
so the healthy version of that would be,
I mean, yeah, whatever I'm doing is not healthy whatsoever.
Well, I'm saying not on your part, but the healthy version of what that relationship would look like is if the argument's going in circles and it's not going anywhere, and one person wants to step away from the argument, then that has to be allowed. To step away from the argument.
So two things. Back to me, like if I'm talking to someone and they're not being receptive, I'm leaving it alone. I'm not going to keep pushing.
But then your partner has to allow you to leave it alone.
Okay, and that's what I was going to say is that, and I think it happens more with guys wanting to drop it in that moment and girls pushing and pushing and pushing, and that's just a generalization. I'm not saying every woman does.
It's also anxious and avoidant.
Absolutely, which is typically female and typically male. However, I've always said this too. Like if your partner's saying, "Hey, I can't," again, open communication.
Right.
I can't have this conversation right now. Can we please talk about it later?
Or this is not going anywhere. We should pause.
We should pause. You need to respect that decision, but then actually come back to it later.
Right, don't just sweep it under the rug.
Because that's what happens in a lot of relationships. You guys just never bring it up again, and it never gets resolved.
And then it comes back up in future arguments.
Yep.
Yeah. 100%.
So I've said that too. Like, and I've told my previous partner this. Like, if at any point you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But we're going to talk about it at another time.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where he wouldn't even tell me that. He would just straight up tell me, "Shut up." How else am I supposed to respond to that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not healthy, but I'm working on it.
Right. If you don't know this, and I feel like this just needs to be said, but if you don't know this, your partner shouldn't be telling you shut up. That's not okay. And we've had conversations recently about old partners of yours where we were together, the three of us, and
oh yeah.
Then afterwards it was just you and I was like, wow, that was like kind of mean, and like they were being kind of mean to you today, and like, do they always talk to you like that? And you were like, what are you talking about? And I was like, there were multiple things I could name like off the top of my head right now that they were either being blatantly mean or they were trying to aggravate you and like rile you up on purpose. And to me, like, I said to you, I was like, if Travis talked to me that way, I would be so pissed. And you were like not even fazed by it. It's not even like you were angry but felt like you couldn't say anything. You just were totally oblivious to it.
Well, that goes hand in hand with gray rocking.
Yeah.
He would insult me so often or try to, I don't even know
like rile you up.
Yeah, like rile me up for whatever reason. And when I wouldn't respond to it, that goes in like I'm not being receptive to that. Like I'm just keeping it pushing, and you're not the only one that's done that. I've had someone else literally like in a group setting, and they see how me and my ex-partner interacted, and she came up to me and she like gave me a hug. She's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you let him talk to you that way." And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That wasn't bad. Oh, you thought that was bad?
Yeah.
Like, girl, I got some fucking stories for you.
Yeah.
But now I'm understanding even that was disrespectful. Even what I didn't see was disrespectful was fucking disrespectful.
Yeah.
But I'm so used to it at that point that you just kind of like, oh.
Well, and it's like you didn't necessarily grow up in an environment where it was different than that. Like, name calling was okay, and, you know.
I mean, it wasn't okay, but it did happen.
Right.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, like, grew up a lot of yelling, screaming. That just was the norm in the house. Right. Like, someone was constantly yelling all the time.
Yeah. It was not only that he was, like, trying to rile you up or, like, just being mean, but he was doing it in front of us. Like how you said, there was another group setting where he was doing it in front of other people, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, does he not understand that this is disrespectful or that this is coming off some type of way to us? Or does he just blatantly not care that it's coming off that way?
Yeah, I think he just didn't care, and I think that's just who the person he was.
Yeah.
Like, he just... And he would tell you, like, I don't give a fuck what people think about me. I don't care what they think.
Which is crazy because he really did.
Because he really did.
Now we know that.
Now we know. Yeah. And even just, like, a most recent argument that we had, it wasn't supposed to be an argument. We were with friends, and it turned into an argument. Actually, I don't even want to call it an argument. It was him attacking me straight up. And one of the males in that group setting said, like, wow, if that's how you speak to Angelica in front of friends, I can only imagine how you speak to her behind closed doors. Mm. And that is just not okay. Like, what you're doing now is not okay, and I can only imagine how you talk to her. I mean, he just didn't care how he spoke to me in front of anyone.
Well, so the story I was going to connect to that was there was, like, a family gathering, like maybe Thanksgiving a couple of years ago, and it was at my house, and toward the end of the night, Travis had left. And my grandma goes, oh, where'd Travis go? And I said, a friend of ours from out of town came in, and he's going to go say hi. We don't ever get to, like, we haven't seen him in years, and he's in from out of town. Sorry. My grandma said, oh, I thought you guys had a fight. Like, that he left because you guys had a fight. And Aunt Tracy goes, they don't fight. Dead ass serious, goes, they don't fight.
Okay, two things. Your mama and your aunt both said things that were pretty toxic.
Yeah.
Like, and they weren't trying to be. Like, I'm not saying, they're toxic people. But for your grandma to think that just because Travis was away from you...
means that we fought.
Means that you guys fought. And then the fact that Aunt Tracy was like, oh, they never fight. Everybody fights.
Right.
We all fight.
Okay, so I said...
Wait. Okay, go ahead. Yes, your story. Go ahead.
Wait! With your hands up.
My bad. Go ahead.
So then
Wait! Okay, go ahead.
What the fuck?
Just funny. Go ahead.
I promptly replied to Aunt Tracy, yeah, we do. Like, just like that. Like, why would you think we don't? Like, we've been together 13 years. How would we not fight?
Right.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You should be worried if we aren't fighting.
But also, it's like, people shouldn't know when you guys are in a fight. Yes, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, I was about to say, we fight. None of them are urgent enough that we have to have them in front of other people.
Right.
None of them have to be talked about, addressed in this moment. It can wait until we get home or we get to the car or whatever. And even at that, we may not argue, but by then we'll be cooled off. But it's like a healthy relationship. An argument should not happen in front of other people because nothing should be that dire and that urgent that it gets to that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I will say, I mean, I've obviously matured, thank God. But like when I was younger in the relationship, if he was getting snippy with me in front of people, I would make it known. Like I would make it like, I would be snippy with him back and I'd be worse. And I would make the fight apparent to people we were with. But I think I did that as like, look at him. Like, can't you see how terrible he is?
Yeah.
But why was I doing that? Because I was expecting someone to come and save me. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize I was making a fucking fool of myself because it's like, if you see yourself, how he treats you, why are you... I mean, we're not going to go into the big why because there's, a lot of psychology behind that. But people were thinking like that. Why are you there?
Right.
I remember one time we went to Louisville with a couple friends, like they're friends and they're a couple. And he was just flat out fucking mean to me on this trip. Mm-hmm. And I think I said something back to him in front of them. And the fact that both of them stayed silent, they didn't say anything. and it was just us four, and he was my ex-partner was being so mean to me that I was crying, and neither of them said anything. And I think that was like the turning point for me. Like, no one's gonna come and fucking save you.
Yeah.
No one's gonna come and step in.
It invalidated you too.
Well, that, but not only, it's like no one. It almost like reinforced this, like, he's gonna continue doing it until you say something, until you stop it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a horrible feeling.
Yeah. But like, as a society, like, we should be doing better.
Yeah.
We should be saying something, even if it ruffles feathers, even if it gets somebody upset. I could see why maybe they wouldn't want to say anything because you guys are on a couples trip together and they're not trying to like make it so that they don't want to be around him or that he doesn't want to be around them. Like, you know, to make the trip worse.
Right.
But then something needs to be said. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I got some fire under me, and I got things to say to people, let me tell you. Okay. And if given the chance, say tomorrow, I'll be saying shit.
To people?
To people.
Yeah, but it's not people's responsibility to step in or say something or change the...
No, it's not. But
and it's hard to... My mom will tell you, like, you know, for example, if my siblings got into a fight with their partner, my mom is never there to take sides.
Mm-hmm.
She's never there to be like arguing with the partner, because in her mind she's like, what, so I get mad at him and then you're back with them tomorrow? Like, and then I'm the person who they have beef with?
Yeah, but you know what the friends could have done and we should be doing? If you can't say anything in the moment, then they should have pulled you aside later and said, hey, that was not okay. To at least validate you. Like how I did after we got away from the partner. Because that would have at least validated you. It wouldn't have put him in his place, but it would have given you power instead of taking power from him.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You want to take a break? My butt hurts.
Yeah, my back hurts. You'll never get away from the sound of the woman that loves you. You suck. Okay.
Suck. All right, we're back.
Hello.
We are going to jump back into attachment styles for a little bit. I know we already did an episode on this, but we're going to go a little bit deeper.
And if you haven't listened to it, it is episode number
22, I think.
Okay, let's test your intuitive skills.
Yeah. 28, maybe.
Not 22 or 28,
28.
Kelsey? 28. Final answer?
Final answer, 28. Is it 28?
It's 27.
Damn, I was one off.
It's 27, yeah. So go back to episode 27 where we talk about attachment styles. We each take the quiz and we discuss what we each got.
Yes.
I got attachment.
You do have attachment, that's for sure.
I got anxious attachment.
I got secure attachment.
Yeah, so.
We've actually gotten so into this that we're able to like point it out in other people.
We probably talk about it like twice a week, if not 3 times.
Yeah. I mean, every time we see each other, we talk about it.
Literally.
We talked about it on the phone yesterday.
I almost said every day, but I was like, that's a bit exaggerated.
No.
But we might.
I mean, if it's a topic of conversation.
Probably do, honestly.
But honestly, it's so... Like, you know, people on the internet, they say like, oh, love languages.
Love languages. Yep. Love languages. Love languages.
Love languages is not a real thing. It's just a construct, just like everything else.
Yeah.
And that's true. Attachment styles is a construct.
Yeah.
It's not an exact science. But it does explain a whole lot of shit.
Hell yeah.
It really helps you understand yourself, understand your partner, understand your trauma and your like your history, your dating history.
Yeah.
What you've allowed in your life.
Yeah.
And what you don't want to allow anymore. And what's healthy and what's not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of wanted to jump into that because it's important, and we're going to be applying it to something now more than just talking about our own. And so I'm going to start off by saying that it is very common for women to have anxious attachment and men to have avoidant attachment. And we're going to talk about that. Like, that's how you see it the most, that dynamic. And that is literally the epitome of every bad relationship in our generation. Literally. It literally is. There's, I mean, besides narcissism, which again we will do a episode on. I know we keep telling you guys that.
An in-depth episode on that one.
Um,
But anxious and avoidant attachment styles seem to attract each other.
yes.
Because they it's like confirmation bias almost. Like
Uh-huh.
they confirm what they already know to be true,
Yes.
and it makes them feel the most comfortable because that's what they're most used to.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah.
But it's true.
It's almost like an anxious person, their core belief is that they have to earn love, and their avoidant partner confirms that they have to earn love.
Yes.
Avoidant partner is their underlying core belief is that love is crazy and wild, and I don't want any part of crazy and wild. And the anxious partner solidifies that for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, it's wild.
But also, I feel like with the avoidant one, it's like they want to be in a loving, secure relationship, but they just can't, like...
They're like in their own way.
Yes, they're
getting in their own way. Yeah.
And anxious will do anything to convince them. Like, yes, this is what you want. This is what we want. Like, yeah,
Right.
That's what that's the goal. And then that's when avoidance, like, you know what? I gotta take a step back.
Yeah.
I gotta remove
Too
myself.
crazy.
Too much.
wild.
It's too much.
Yeah.
And anxious will go as far as they'll go.
Yep. So you can kind of think of it like anxious is like needing constant validation, but avoidant is shutting down when things get hard.
Mm-hmm.
Shutting down when things get real.
And which will only make the anxious attacher try even harder and
Yes.
make it even worse and push them away. And
Yes.
that's not always what happens, but that's what we're seeing happens.
Yes. There was something I was going to say about... Oh, I know someone who I believe is avoidant or disorganized. I don't know, but mostly avoidant. And like I said, we can point it out in other people now. Like if you just talk to me enough about your past relationships and maybe a little about your childhood, I could probably tell you what your attachment style is. But I know somebody who's mostly avoidant, and I say all the time, like to other people that have issue with this person or to myself, like they are their own worst enemy. They are their own worst enemy. And all of us a little bit are our own worst enemy, but this person, they're so avoidant of accountability, of understanding, so avoidant of receiving care and love, that they are just stepping on their own feet in the way of being in a healthy relationship with anyone, not just romantic, but, you know, friendships, relationships with their family members, co-workers, whatever, like relationships with anybody in the world, stepping on their own feet.
Should we go over them a little bit each?
Yeah.
Or what?
I mean, I think we understand though.
We understand. Understand.
Can you pull up like how it connects to their childhood? Like how it connects to their parents? I don't think we'll get it on this website though, because this website's kind of broad. Let me see if I'll ask AI while you're looking for it and see if I can get a good answer from AI. Okay, so this is how there's 4 attachment styles. This is how each attachment style connects to the childhood. So for secure attachment, children who have secure attachments with caregivers feel safe, supported, and loved. They learn to trust others, develop healthy relationships, and have a positive view of themselves and others. This secure base provides a foundation for secure attachment styles in adulthood, characterized by trust, intimacy, and emotional closeness. Now, I have learned that not all people who have a secure attachment had, like, you know, this picture perfect childhood. Some things may have been upsetting in their childhood or might have trauma, but they've worked through it back to a secure attachment. Does that make sense?
Well, they have the tools and the resources to do that.
Right. And we're going to remind me to touch on why in a parenting lens, knowing about attachment styles is important.
Yes, that's good.
Anxious attachment. Children who experience inconsistent caregiving or unpredictable responses from caregivers may develop an anxious, preoccupied attachment style that kind of describes like having to earn love. They may seek constant reassurance, fear rejection, and have a hyper-awareness of relationship dynamics. In adulthood, this attachment style may manifest as clinginess, neediness, and a fear of abandonment. Do you want to speak on that before I continue? Not to call out your sister, but your sister really struggles with it.
Yeah.
I feel like you're kind of like on your way out of it.
Yeah.
But she's still like in the thick of it. Let me continue.
Well, I mean, kind of like you said, like you didn't really know what kind of parent you were getting that day. If you were getting a loud parent, an angry parent, a sad parent, a happy parent, a caregiver parent, like a caring parent, and you couldn't really show much emotions, and you really did not feel safe going to your parents about how you felt.
Yeah.
Talking about your feelings wasn't a thing. Receiving talk about feelings was never a thing. I had to tell my mom and my dad too, when I was in college, like, are you proud of me? Like, I need to hear you say it. And they're like, well, of course we're proud of you. No. I need you to say it. And then it led into like, I need you to tell me you love me because I genuinely don't know.
Right.
Like, I don't know if what I've done is enough for you to love me. Like, I don't feel that way. I don't feel loved. And their thinking is, you have a roof over your head. You have food on the table. Of course I love and care about you. It's like, of course, I'm not like downplaying that at all, but like, I need more.
Right. Did you ever feel like growing up, like you couldn't see your parents as people? Like because of the lack of emotion, the lack of like true feelings?
Maybe. I mean, I used to think that my parents were just like on, I don't know if autopilot is the right term.
I know what you mean.
But it was
so
just
busy that it's like, just doesn't matter.
They were just so busy. Something was always going on. It just was not, it just
like a constant cycle of day-to-day life.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I just wondered about that.
I definitely feel the clinging and the neediness and needing reassurance, and it's like you think you're doing good, you think you're doing well, but like I can't perceive it from what you're telling me, how we're acting. Like, I don't understand. I need you to tell me.
Because your parents have been hard to read.
Yeah. Yes. I find it very hard to read sometimes.
Your
and that's
status
why,
of where you are with your parents.
Yes. And that's why I think that's where my overthinking comes from. Oh, when they said this, did they really mean that? Or they did this, is that because of this? Like, yeah. I'm also really glad though that I know about attachment style now, because in my last relationship, I was just told that I was needy and sensitive, like overly sensitive. And it got to the point where I'm not sensitive. I don't think I'm asking for a lot.
Right.
Like, I don't think I think I'm asking for, and then it became like, okay, you're right. I'm asking for way too much then. Right. I need to draw it back. And I think that's why I started accepting what I did. And like, well, if I ask for anything else, I'm being too sensitive. I'm being over the top. It's not manageable. It's not attainable. And it got to the point where I even started owning it. Like, yeah, I'm sensitive. So what?
Right.
If you can't handle it, then why? Like,
and you should own it, because it's not what's wrong with you. It's what happened to you that made you sensitive. But sensitive is subjective to the person. And I'll tell you one thing. Your partner should be able to hear about your attachment style and hear about you are the way you are because of these things, and be understanding of it.
Yeah. And I mean,
and be accepting of it. And I mean, of course, if you're being toxic or if you're doing things wrong, call you out on that, but still say, okay, I know you need a little bit more reassurance today. I'm going to give you that, but this is not what you think it is. Like, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say,
working with it, not against it.
Right. And I mean, aside from this being a completely toxic relationship and we trauma bonded and the cycle of abuse and all that bullshit, aside from that, it was what was comfortable, because that's what I grew up with, not knowing someone being hot and cold constantly, and just having to like, okay, what's that thing you said? Like temperature reading or whatever, like knowing.
Temperature checking, yeah. Yeah.
So like, me thinking everything's fine, but the second he walks through the door, okay, what kind of day are we going to have? What kind of afternoon are we going to have?
I remember
Did he have a good day at work?
Hearing him walk through the door, and I can tell.
You could just tell if it was going to be good or bad or what. I had to be good on that, because it's just what's comfortable. So that's just.
And you feel like you did that with your mom when you were a kid? You hear her walk through the door and you're wondering, like, did she slam her keys on the counter? Did she?
Oh, my mom came in yelling. Every time she came home, it was yelling. Every time.
That's chaotic.
Every time. Yeah.
Super chaotic.
Yeah.
Kind of keeps you in a fight or flight, like pretty much all the time.
Absolutely, all the time.
And if you don't know, if you grow up, if your brain is developing and you're in fight or flight all the time, it causes your cortisol levels to rise, and then it causes your cortisol levels to just be high all the time over a span of your life until you've like healed that part of you. And that can be damaging. That can put you in fight or flight all the time, which is why what we're saying, like, it's so important that you understand your childhood, because you may be in fight or flight all the time and not even know it.
Yeah. And like now that I'm by myself, like I've never had this much space, quietness, alone time,
Freedom.
Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. The first couple weeks were scary and lonely, and you know, all I wanted was to be surrounded by people. But now I'm like, nah. Like I love being at home. Like it's so great. Like I'm not walking on eggshells around anyone. I'm not temperature
You don't have
reading.
to think about somebody else's feelings.
I'm just here and I'm vibing and I'm chilling. Like
Yeah.
feels good.
Just you.
And that's the healing part
Yeah.
from this.
Being okay being alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting comfortable with being alone.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It works. Okay, so if you haven't figured this out by now, we have figured out that if Angelica clanks her cup against the mic stand, it stops the humming noise.
Oh my God, 2 people didn't think my Stanley Cup was an actual Stanley Cup.
Who?
Club. My brother Jerry was like, move your generic Stanley Cup over there. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And I turned it around. I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then at my coworker, she came up to me. She was like, is that real? I'm like, it's a real cup. I can touch it. I don't know what you're talking about. She's like,
That's like when I said, can you hear this? Or can you see this? You're like, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. And all this to say, my parents did the best job that they could with the resources they were given in the circumstances that they were in. I'm healthy. I'm
Alive.
not mentally well, but you know.
Who is?
Yeah, exactly. Like we had a more than satisfactory I think I can't even say that.
Satisfactory?
It was satisfactory, I guess. Yeah, like it did its job. It kept us alive. We're good. We're all adults.
You're not physically harmed.
Made it. We were not physically harmed.
All right.
Oh, and well, that ties back to, as a parent, or if you're thinking about having kids, it's very, very good to understand attachment styles, because you understand how your parenting will then later affect your child.
Right. Exactly. We'll get into that after I finish the other 4, because I want to speak on each one.
Yeah.
So the next one. So the next one is dismissive avoidant. I don't know which one is technically avoidant, the one we've been talking about.
No, this one's the avoidant one.
So there's dismissive avoidant and fearful avoidant.
That's the bad one.
Fearful. Okay. Dismissive avoidant is the one we've been talking about.
Yes.
That most men are.
Most men are.
Children who receive little emotional support or have caregivers who are emotionally distant may develop a dismissive avoidant attachment style. They learn to self-soothe and minimize the importance of emotional connections. In adulthood, this attachment style may lead to independence, emotional detachment, and a reluctance to rely on others. That one.
Because why? Because most men, most boys are taught to not show your emotions, to not cry, to bottle it all up inside.
Yep. Don't be a sissy.
To be the man of the house. You got to do it on your own. Provide.
Yep. Not saying that there's anything wrong with independence and providing.
No, absolutely not.
But when it's drilled into your head, that continues the narrative that emotions don't matter.
Yeah, when you cannot accept love or receive it or be receptive to someone trying to give you love, and then it becomes a problem.
Right. And maybe it's because if your caregiver wasn't available for that kind of love, then you don't trust love.
Or you may not know what it is.
The last one is fearful avoidant attachment, which is the one that's connected. It connects anxious and avoidant. Children who experience trauma, abuse, or inconsistent caregiving may develop a fearful avoidant attachment style. This may have a deep fear of intimacy, struggle and with trust issues, and exhibit contradictory behaviors in relationships. In adulthood, this
contradictory behaviors.
Yeah. I'm thinking of somebody on this one too.
Me too.
I don't think it's the same person.
No.
In adulthood, this attachment style may result in a constant push-pull dynamic.
Yes.
With a desire for closeness, but a fear of vulnerability.
Yes.
So yeah, I can think of a couple of people that would fall under that category. And that one, for real, own worst enemy. Contradictory behavior.
They'll never be happy until they get out of their own way.
Right. Because it's going to be a constant cycle of desire for closeness, but fear of vulnerability.
Yep.
And I feel like vulnerability is a big word here because you hear buzzing? A different buzzing? It's more like static. Vulnerability is seen on the anxious side as a weakness, but it is also seen that way as it's like...
Well, no, it's not necessarily... Are you talking about the anxious attachment style?
I was going to say, I want to switch that around. I want to say, as an anxious person, you have a lot more vulnerability.
Yes.
But it's seen as a weakness from other people.
Yeah.
Because they believe it's a weakness,
right.
And they refuse to show it, vulnerability.
Do you remember when we had Luis on the episode and I said that? I said, I love being vulnerable.
Yeah.
I love having all my cards at the table.
Right.
And then letting people decide.
Right.
Are you going to accept me or not?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I'd rather have 10 friends and then at the end come out with 2 versus starting out with just 2 and then being like, oh my God, like what if something happens between us and blah, blah.
Right.
So I think for the anxious, the only way we're going to find that love and that closeness that we crave is by being vulnerable. We know that.
Right.
And it doesn't always work.
Because
but
people
will do it.
Because the narcissist will come through and attack the vulnerability. Because they feed off the vulnerability.
Yes.
So it's only good if you know how to protect it or protect yourself from the people who would take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's like, don't change how you love, change who you love.
Right.
Because narcissists.
And heal the part of you that thinks that the type of behavior that narcissist or people that would hurt you, you can recognize that behavior and know it's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of behavior we've talked about even recently where you still are like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize like that's not good. That's not healthy behavior.
Yeah. Or like you'll take the bad with the good because all you're hearing is there's good in there. So I'm going to take it.
Right.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Sure. It comes with a little bit of baggage, but I got it. I got what I wanted.
And that goes back to your childhood.
Yep.
It's good and bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you find yourself in a relationship saying, when it's good, it's fucking great. It's fucking fantastic. But man, when it's bad, it's fucking hell. Run.
You're not in a good place.
Get out.
It shouldn't be like that. You should be at a baseline the majority of the time.
Yes.
80
to
90% of the time, you're at a baseline.
Right.
Now, there can be rough patches where for over a few weeks you might be arguing a little bit more. But as long as you're coming together and being like, I don't want to argue anymore. Like, I really don't like this. Let's, the both of you feel that way, then okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, let's kind of connect this to today's dating, okay? If you think about today's dating world, I'll ask you specifically.
I haven't dated, by the way.
I know, but you know what today's dating world is like. You've seen it online.
Yeah.
Think about
I just want to make that clear.
Think about today's dating world. Say a woman and a guy, they interact on an app. What do you see the most of everything between an interaction with a guy and a girl?
Like playing mind games? What are you trying to get at?
Mm-hmm.
Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the everything's a mind game and playing with them and seeing where they're at without trying to like get a feeler out there, but mask it as a joke because if they reject it, I was just playing anyway. Like we're not, well, obviously.
I would even venture to say that the majority of women on dating apps are looking for serious relationships.
Oh, yes.
And the majority of men are not.
Yes.
And so there's this imbalance in dating in today's age because most of men don't want the vulnerability of a full relationship. They don't want to be tied down. They don't want to have to share their emotions with anyone. So they'd rather just fuck back to back to back to back to back.
Well, that and, tied with the fact that when women date or when women like a guy, you're at a 10.
Mm-hmm.
You're you're already there. If they like you, you're there. You're at a 10. And as the dates go on, time goes on, they start deducting points. Oh, I really didn't like that he did that. Or like, oh, this is kind of weird. Yeah. Whereas guys, when they date, I mean, I'm not a guy, obviously, but like there's science behind this where men date at 0 and then you slowly start to gain points. So if a woman is going in...
It's not your promise.
Oh, I know. I was just waiting. Like if like, so when a woman goes into dating, like in her mindset of dating, she already sees you. She's already thinking about the wedding, how you're going to propose, what your kids are going to look like. Yep. You know, if you have family, how is she going to fit in with that?
The guy's not thinking past tomorrow.
Delusional.
Guy's not thinking past tomorrow.
He's not.
No.
And that reiterates the anxious avoidance style.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Or even what I said before of like the guy wanting to jump from girl to girl, that's avoidant.
Yeah.
And the girl wanting to be loved is anxious.
Yeah.
Seeking love.
Yeah. Or
seeking validation from other people.
Right. I was going to say like, for the guy, like, yeah, we're going to have fun. We're going to have some dinner. And you know, maybe there's a possibility of us hooking up at the end of the day. Yeah. What's that one saying that women like, what's that word? Women fuck to get love and what's that one saying?
Love to get fucked?
No. There's like a, whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you really boil this down to the core, let's just talk about our generation, millennials. If all the millennials in our generation decided, today, I'm going to learn about my attachment style. I'm going to learn about I'm going to deep dive into my childhood and learn about why I am the way I am in relationships. Then the men wouldn't be avoidant anymore. Not like overnight, obviously. And the women wouldn't be anxious anymore. And then we would have a real chance at having better, healthy relationships. Because if you think about it, I can't name on one hand 5 healthy, happy couples that I know for sure. Is that your neck?
My throat? I can think of 3. I think I can think of 3.
You're 100% positive they're a healthy couple.
Yeah, 3.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, 3. Not including my parents, 3. Which they've obviously
I wouldn't
gotten
even venture
better.
My parents.
No, I think my parents are good. I mean, sure, they have but they're pretty low. Yeah, I can 3.
I've got
4. No, 3.5.
I've got like 2 that I know of off the top of my head.
Yeah,
and that's sad.
Yeah,
even people who have been together for 10 plus years, then they end up getting a divorce because that those 10 years didn't mean anything if they weren't good.
Yeah.
Or they did mean something, but they didn't mean anything for the longevity of the relationship if it wasn't good. It's always going to come to an end at some point.
Yeah.
Which is kind of my point that I was making when I said, if you have no respect, then there is nothing.
Right.
Because that relationship 100% is not going to last if there's no respect. It is going to come to an end. So whether you struggle for a year and break up or you struggle for 10 years and break up, it's going to come to an end if there's no respect in the relationship.
Absolutely.
So are you willing to struggle for 10 more years to have the same outcome?
That's insanity.
2
things. 1, I've realized I have felt crazy so many times in my past relationship. Like I felt literally unwell. Like I am second guessing the fuck out of myself. I'm being gaslit. Like I cannot trust myself. I literally felt insane. And that's because I was doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome, giving the same person 1 chance, 2 chance, 3 chance, 5,000 chances, expecting them to fucking get it, expecting them to fucking treat you right, expecting them to fucking change when they won't. That's insanity.
Yeah, it kind of like if for 10 years you're having to cope with the fact that 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. That's insanity.
Yeah.
Then you're like, well, what's wrong with me if 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2? There's got to be another answer, and it's probably that there's something wrong with me. And it just tears you down for years and years and years.
Yeah, so I highly encourage you, like, if you're in the dating scene right now, None of this bullshit. What's your favorite color? No.
What's your attachment style?
What's your attachment style?
What was your childhood like?
What was your childhood like? You know, how are your parents?
How are your parents?
How are your parents or caregivers with you growing up? Did you feel safe to express yourself emotionally, your feelings? Mm-hmm. Did they make you feel secure and validated? Mm-hmm. What are you like in an argument? How are you when you're frustrated? How are you? Like, how do you argue?
Yeah.
These are the questions you need to be asking your potential future partner.
Yes.
These are the things you need to know.
And those.
Oh, also, sorry, something else I thought about, like. What was your role in the downfall of your last relationship? Because we all
have a role.
That shows, can they take accountability? Can they be honest with you and themselves? Mm-hmm. And you'll gain an insight about how they were with someone else and how they could potentially be with you.
Yep.
I thought about that the other day. I was like, well, that's a good question. And there's this girl on TikTok who has a list of questions on her notes that, like, these are the questions that she asks people
like over time.
Yep. Even on the first date, she has first date questions you ask like on the third or fifth date or whatever as you're going forward. Yeah. But there's some pretty good ones in there. And it makes you like have these intuitive conversations, like actual important ones.
Yeah. Also, can we normalize believing the ex? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like when you get with someone and they're like, oh my gosh, my ex is crazy, blah, blah, blah. But then you find out that the ex thought that your man was crazy. Believe the ex. They're the ones with all the experience. Why wouldn't you believe them?
Yeah.
A tale as old as time. The man saying the ex was the problem or whatever, whoever. A tale as old as time. You can't believe anything.
Yeah.
And that sucks in today's dating world.
Mm-hmm.
The lies you can get away with in today's dating world.
Yeah, like what's that one saying? It's like someone out there is with your ex right now thinking they just like found the greatest human being on the planet.
Yep. Yeah.
You know what though? In this society though, it's hard. We just talked about being vulnerable with your future potential partner, but also it's hard because going back to the accountability, like for me, for example, my next relationship or whatever, I'm scared to open up about the things that I've gone through and for them to know what I accepted and why, and my role in the downfall of my relationship, you know, me ignoring all these red flags because I'm scared they're going to take that and use it against me.
Right. Gives them fuel.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like a balance. Yes, exactly.
Yep. Sure is.
There was something else I wanted to say to that. It's something about believing the ex. Oh.
What?
There's these guys on TikTok and they make videos of like, you know, walking red flags or whatever. If blah, 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 break up with them or blah, blah, blah. And one of them is like, if they have a restraining order with their ex, don't date them.
Yeah. First of all, if you're dating, every person you go on a date with, my case, Indiana, jail, Marion County jail lookup, include released inmates, protection order registry, marriage record registry. There's so many ways for free that you can get information on people. TruePeopleSearch.com.
These are things that I didn't think about until Kelsey. I would tell her a guy's name and then she would have like...
She'd be like telling me something random and I'm just like on my phone.
Yeah, just like not even guys I'm not talking to when I'm single as a Pringle. But like if I say a name, she looks him up.
Or like recently we did that with someone we went to school with.
Yes.
Or no, we went to Hawthorne with. And I was like... this is something's fishy.
Oh my God.
So I looked it up and they had a warrant out for their arrest.
Okay, going back to believing the ex, right? So this person, you know, I just got into communication with them again and they were telling me how, you know, there was some stuff going on with their ex and, you know, they're trying to work some stuff out and there were some crazy things that happened. And I'm like, crazy? Like, what do you mean like crazy? And they didn't want to divulge it. So I was like, oh, let me just talk to Kelsey about it. And then...
And we found it was a couple minutes. We found the case on my case, And it was pretty bad charges against their partner.
Really bad.
And it was a current warrant out for their arrest. Like, they could not be out in public because they could fear getting arrested.
And I'm over here thinking this guy, you know, he's making himself out to be like, I didn't, you know, like, it sucks, but it is what it is. And it's like, no, dude, you did something terrible.
Yeah.
Like, oh, no.
Like, people should watch out for you. This is terrible.
Really bad, yeah.
You shouldn't be dating people at all. Okay, so this is creating a secure attachment when parenting. Creating a secure attachment with your child is essential for their emotional and social development. Here are some strategies to ensure that your parenting style fosters a secure attachment with your child. 1. Responsive and consistent caregiving. Respond promptly to your child's needs, whether they are hungry, tired, or upset. Consistency in caregiving helps children feel safe and secure, knowing that their needs will be met. So I feel like the disorganized one, the last one we talked about, that's really touching home there. Like, if your needs aren't met, then you can't trust anyone. You know,
fend for yourself.
Right. Wishy-washy, inconsistent, you know. 2, emotional availability. Be emotionally present and attuned to your child's feelings. Show empathy, validate their emotions, and provide comfort and support when needed. That one is a huge one. So they might touch on this in a minute after I keep reading, but the biggest one for me that I recognize the most is still showing your child that you love them, even if they mess up, even if you have an argument, even if something happens, even if they do something wrong and they make a mistake. You still have to say and show your child that you love them and you're still there for them, because if not, then they decide that they have to earn love. They have to be a good kid to get love. They have to be a perfect child to earn love. And that will create an anxious attachment. Number 3, positive interactions. Engage in positive interactions with your child, such as playing together, reading books, and spending quality time bonding. These interactions build trust and strengthen the parent-child relationship. 4, create a secure base. Provide a safe and nurturing environment for your child to explore and learn. Encourage independence while offering support and guidance when needed. 5, set boundaries with love. Establish clear and consistent boundaries with your child while also showing love and understanding. Boundaries help children feel safe and secure, knowing their limits and expectations. 6, encourage autonomy. Allow your child to make age-appropriate choices and decisions. Encouraging autonomy fosters independence and self-confidence, building a sense of competency and agency. I feel like having confidence in themselves is really important, because that can then turn into, in adulthood, like not trusting themselves, questioning their own decisions, not being able to make big decisions, continue with their life, so on and so forth. And that might even foster avoidant attachment, because you don't want to move onward and upward because you're afraid of the feelings that will come with it. Reflective, I'm just going to name the titles for these. Reflective listening, model healthy relationships, provide unconditional love. I'm going to read that one. Show unconditional love and acceptance towards your child, regardless of their behavior or emotions. Let them know that they are loved and valued for who they are. Now, easier said than done. When your child is getting on your nerves, it's hard, but you got to do it. And even if it's like, we need time apart for a minute so I can cool down. But then you come back and you give them a hug. You apologize if you went off on them. You tell them you love them and you build connection. 10 is seek support and self-care. Parenting can be challenging, and it's important to take care of yourself to be the best parent you can be. Seek support from friends, family, or therapist if needed, and prioritize self-care to maintain your well-being. I feel like that might have been something that your parents struggled with, self-care.
Absolutely.
They didn't have time for themselves.
I think they lost who they were. That's why when you asked me, like, did I ever think of my parents as people? I was like, huh? They weren't individuals. They didn't do things for themselves.
Right.
They had no sense of happiness or what's that? What am I trying to say? Like a hobby or like a
individualism. Yeah,
like it was always about. I mean, they had 4 kids, so like their hands were always full. There was always something going on with someone. They were tired from their job. You know, they had health problems. It just.
You know, I would venture to say that I know more about your mom's interests now that we're adults than I would have ever when we were kids.
Yeah.
And that goes to show that, like, now that her kids are grown up, she can be herself more.
Well, that's what sucks about parenthood, I feel like, is that you do kind of lose yourself in your child, and focusing so much on them that you do lose yourself as an individual.
Yeah.
I mean, that can happen in relationships too. You become a toxic or an unhealthy unit that you lose interest in things that make you happy or that used to make you happy because you're so far up your partner's ass. Yeah. You stop doing things that make you happy. For and sure. I did that, and I'm slowly trying to get back to it. But yeah, you as a parent, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're gonna go through that, and you're gonna have to be, aware of still having your sense of individualism. Yeah,
I think sometimes, like, when I leave to come do the podcast, like, I feel guilty because Cash is upset when I leave. He's upset when I leave anytime I leave. If I'm going to the grocery store, he's upset because he doesn't know where I'm going. He doesn't know how soon I'll be back. He just doesn't want me to leave. So sometimes I feel guilty about it, but then I remember that I need to show him, like, it's healthy to have hobbies and to have things that you're passionate about. And one day I'll be able to tell him about this podcast and say, this is something I was really passionate about. This is something I did with Angelica that we had a lot of fun with. And that gave me part of myself every week when we did it. And I mean, I've told you this before, like, if I'm having a hard week, you're like, are you sure you want to record this week? And I'm like, yes, like, this is the thing that gives me joy right now. Like, this is my hobby.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. And so it's even better that we do this on Friday nights because I'm, like, going into the weekend where, Travis is basically Cash's primary caregiver Monday through Friday because he's home with him. And then I'm his primary caregiver on the weekends because I want to make sure Travis gets enough of his own alone time. And so going into that, I'm filling my cup on Friday night, and then I'm able to parent on the weekends.
Now, granted, we are talking about a household with two parents, and then we totally understand.
Right.
It's not as easy with a single parent, and it is hard to find your own individualism because you don't have someone else or whatever the case may be. So,
well, we understand even said in that paragraph, like, lean on friends and family for self-care if you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to go from here. Like, I think we've said it all. Like, it's so important. Like, your own mental health could be getting in the way of your own relationships, and you don't even know it. Some people are just cruising through life.
Yeah, so I
not
guess
thinking about it.
To end this doom, I mean, we were kind of all over the place today, so hopefully
you followed it. Yeah.
But basically, know your attachment style. Know how your childhood directly correlates to how you date today, how you are as a person, how you are in a relationship. First step is knowing, right?
Yes.
First step is acknowledging it, knowing how it affects that.
And once then, you know, it gets easier to connect things.
Yes. And then you start to do some self-reflection. You may stop yourself in your own tracks. You're like, wait a minute. Okay, hang on. Why am I feeling this way? Right. What is this? What traumatic or what response? Why am I getting this response? Why am I feeling this way?
Yep.
What's causing me to act this way? Okay, let's stop. Let's reflect.
Right.
Let's analyze and let's
communicate.
Change. Let's communicate.
Yes.
Yes.
Communicate with yourself or with your partner if you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not going to happen like from one day to the next. It's going to take time and practice. And I mean,
and like we've said before, like there's no destination.
No.
We're not saying you need to sprint towards this destination of a secure attachment. It's going to be a constant lifetime work. And the analogy I keep using with everybody all the time now is the open book, right? You open a book to any page. It's not going to be perfect. Every page of a book is not going to be perfect, going exactly the way the main character wants it to go. There's always going to be an issue because that's how life is. It wouldn't be interesting if it was perfect all the time. And so just recognize that it's a continuous thing to work on all the time with yourself, with your partner. And if a relationship is no longer serving you in any way, shape, or form, whether that be just not connecting anymore, not able to communicate anymore, or on the harder end of the spectrum of abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, it's okay to go. It's okay to let it go. And, yeah.
Remember, you are the greatest project you will ever work on.
Yeah, that's true. It makes me think of that quote of the week that we did where a lady was like, instead of like trying to love yourself, love being yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Love being yourself. Know yourself so well that you're like, I got this. I got me. I got me no matter who's here. What was that other saying? The one that you texted to me from the Do the Work podcast. Someone is an addition to your life, not instead of.
Yes. Someone is an addition to, not instead of,
right,
in your life.
If you become so comfortable with yourself that another person in a relationship is an addition to your life, is a bonus in your life, rather than instead of you. And we know people who get so deep into relationships that person's not even their person, but they just force them to be their person.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then it's instead of them, instead of a bonus to their life.
Mm-hmm.
Their life doesn't exist at that point. It's only the other their partner's life.
Yeah, and something also that has been instilled in me is that, I'm single now or whatever, but like, this is actually a very sacred time for me because this is the only time that I'll have to truly know and learn myself and understand
That's true.
why I am the way that I am and strive for the life that I want to have. Because eventually, the goal is to settle down and have kids, and once,
if that's what you want.
Yeah, not for everyone, obviously, but life is gonna get busier,
mm-hmm.
whether you want it to or not. So like, if you're single right now and you're struggling with that, know that this is such a beautiful and precious time.
It's a gift, really.
It's a gift. Mm-hmm. And really like hone
not
in
to be
on
so
that.
cliche, but like it really is. Like,
yeah,
you may not have the opportunity to, not that being in a relationship sucks, but you may not have this opportunity to know yourself unbiased.
Right.
Without bias.
There's no outside noise unless you want it to.
Mm-hmm.
There was this video that I saw where a girl went on a date and the guy was like, so who's my competition? And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, what competition? He's like, yeah, what other guys are you talking to?
Yeah.
And she was like, sir, your competition is myself.
Yeah.
Because my life is great right now as it is. So what are you gonna, again, in addition to not
adding value,
what value are you adding to my life? Because I'm fine right now. I'm good. I'm so, like Kaylani said, type of girl that got you because I want you, not because I need you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So,
yeah. And we can thank movies for that. Needing.
Yes. Like
the needing of
you don't
someone.
feel complete until you have someone. And that's not the case.
It's not the healthy way to be.
That's not the case. That's why I'm like, your better half, your other half. And it's like, what? I'm not a whole as a person?
Right. Yeah.
I'm not a whole.
I'm not a whole. I want to be a whole.
God damn it. I'm not whole.
It's not fair that I'm not a whole.
I want to be a whole so bad. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what else.
I think we've said it all. We've got some more meaningful conversations like this that we're gonna have soon, so stay tuned. Go buy some merch. I'm gonna try to rearrange our merch store soon. I just need to sit down and have the time to do it. And it's definitely not gonna be this weekend because this weekend's packed.
Yep.
Happy Easter, everyone. Hope you had a good Easter, and we'll see y'all next week.
Yeah. Bye, like, comment. Bye, like.
Bye. Bye, like. I just want to be a whole so bad.
Like, comment, share, subscribe.
You know what she said. We out. Bye.